Welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. This is Andrew Kraft. Well, family members of a California public defender who died during a romantic getaway to Mexico do not believe his death was an accident, as Mexican officials have previously claimed. Elliot Blair was celebrating his first wedding anniversary when he died Saturday outside his hotel room at Los Rocas Resort and Spa in Rosarito Beach. The circumstances surrounding his sudden death remain mostly unknown, and authorities in Mexico have released few details in the case. Blair's family says they've received almost no information from local authorities or officials since he died. That's according to the family's lawyer. So far, their only point of contact has been a quote-unquote liaison to the coroner's office, who indicated that the cause of death was severe head trauma and that the case had been forwarded to the DA's office to conduct a possible homicide investigation. We want to talk about this even further. Before we bring in some of our expert guests, we want to let you listen in to the family spokesman talking about this case today. Let's listen.
Well, the ambulance has been here. They're gone. He's dead, and the police are on their way. And he's on the ground face down, looking like he hasn't been worked on, hasn't received any medical care, and this is in the middle of the night from a deep sleep for her. And so you piece that together with the detective feet away from Elliot saying that he was shot in the head, with this later report from the Mexican official saying that it was because of a high blood alcohol level and it's a tragic accident. The family just doesn't know. We can't get information that fits. But
Okay, so let's talk about this even further. I want to be joined right now on the program with Dr. Rami Hashish joining us now. And sir, you are an expert witness who specializes in injury causation, and you are, I believe, consulting with the family attorney there as well. How do you determine something like this injury? There's a lot of questions that are still outstanding, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. There's obviously many things that we're still trying to piece together. But ultimately, from a big picture perspective, what we do is that we take all the available evidence, and ideally as much objective evidence as possible, and then make some determinations from there, essentially. So some of the things that we can look at right now is the concept as to whether or not Mr. Blair was more likely to actually sustain or be involved in a more independent fall. And what I mean by that is, if we look at his height, and we look at how people traditionally fall and how people traditionally move, whether it was in fact possible or probable for his body to get over the leading edge of the balcony and ultimately fall to the ground. And the sequence of that is to make a determination as to whether that's probable for him to do that independently or whether there was some sort of external force or extraneous factor that led to it.
I don't know if you can, offer conversations that you've had and maybe make us privy to them with, the family attorney in this. No doubt this family is completely heartbroken. He was celebrating his 1-year wedding anniversary. And Mexican officials have not been very forthcoming or transparent. Are you seeking more information from them, the Mexican officials?
Well, the information which I receive is traditionally from the attorney directly. So I'm not necessarily waiting on the Mexican officials to send me paperwork or documents, right? With that being said, yeah, it's a problem which that's being faced is that there is this inherent fundamental delay with evidence. And generally speaking, as we get further and further along, as days go by, that evidence becomes potentially less and less reliable. So timing is certainly key. And certain factors, we're looking at particular abrasions or bruises, for instance, on the body, or how the body responded to trauma. Those are key factors for us to be able to determine the cause of death. So as days go by, it essentially limits our ability to do so.
Dr. Hashish, what about, say, hypothetically, we don't know yet, obviously that's the course of the investigation will continue, but if there is something nefarious at play here, and maybe possibly foul play, what would you look at? How would you determine that in, the evidence that you look at?
Well, I think the preliminary evidence already suggests that there's potentially already foul play.
Okay.
Right? So even objectively, if we look at this, the first question is, how did he fall? Right? Could he have fallen independently? Traditionally, when somebody falls, they fall down, right? in fact true, and he was not intoxicated, then the likelihood of losing balance and being unable to protect yourself kind of comes into question. People can traditionally protect themselves. And then when falling from height, people traditionally reach out their arms and do other actions to protect their body, right? So all of those things right away suggest that there may be some potential, something nefarious going on, or something more than necessarily that he's died. Furthermore, there's obviously recent revelations that wife of Mr. Blair suggested that he was brutally shot in the head. And of course, that's something that can be teased out immediately upon looking at the body, right? If we had the opportunity to actually evaluate the determination as to whether that was trauma from a fall, or whether it's more consistent with trauma from a fall, or whether it's more consistent with a gunshot. So there's various components.
Yeah. What about, I guess, the height of the fall from the third story? Is it typical to suffer, wounds, injuries, so much so that you would die from the fall from that height? Will you look at that?
Yeah, that's certainly something we look at. Falling from the third floor, people can survive. And one of the reasons why people can survive is because they react to that, right? If they're not unconscious, they're not intoxicated, people have the ability to react. And traditionally, people, as you would expect, try to protect their brain and protect their head at all costs, and to reach out with their arms, and so on and so forth. So generally speaking, if somebody falls from a 3-story height, they can survive, particularly if they're a healthy young adult like Mr. Blair. What will happen, though, or what's more likely to happen, is that they'll have fractures, they have bone breaks in their legs, the ribs, and what have you. They may also have potential concussion or some other sort of brain injury, but they are typically able to control their body in a way in which they can prevent severe head trauma and maximize their survivability.
And just lastly, Doctor, you mentioned that you were somewhat concerned with how Mexican authorities were handling this, were possibly seeing some of the evidence, and we know we've heard that the Mexican coroner's office initially had the body. Are you worried there could be any kind of, I don't want to say tampering, but not above board with their investigation? Because ultimately you will have to answer and have some of those questions as well.
Do I have concern? Of course, you always have concern in cases like this. To do the job correctly, to do it accurately, and to make sure that justice is served one way or another, we have to do the best job we can, and we have to have evidence to be unspoiled, and we have to do things scientifically by the book, and anything that can affect that can certainly affect our ability to do our job and ultimately affect the outcome. So yes, certainly that's something that is something.
The Blair family is just going through the worst of imaginable tragedies right now. What is next in this story? What is next in this case for you? You're consulting.
What's next for me is trying to capture and gather more evidence to be able to piece this together more properly. Once we have medical records and once we have photographs, I think we'll be able to take a pretty giant leap at that point. At this point, at this particular juncture, we're kind of limited. We're really just doing some additional kind of analyses just to corroborate kind of some of the preliminary information, which suggests that it's not necessarily an independent fault. But really what we're waiting on right now is somewhat of a waiting game to get more evidence and more information, and in particular, getting more medical records as well as photographs and what have you.
All right, Doctor, we appreciate your time, especially on this Friday night. Rami Hashish, we appreciate it, and we'll talk again. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to continue to follow that story here on Live Now from Fox. We just want to kind of recap and just give yet another summary of this story there. You can see Elliot Blair, he and his wife were on this romantic getaway in Mexico, and they were celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and he died outside of his hotel room in Rosarito Beach. The circumstances surrounding his death remain mostly unknown. Authorities in Mexico have released few details. Blair's family, though, says that they have received almost no information from local authorities or officials since he died. That's according to their attorney. So far, their only point of contact has been a liaison to the coroner's office. So there's these competing evidentiary claims and theories about the manner and nature of his death, and we will stay on top of it.